Now, a disturbing trend on social media struck one of the world's biggest stars this week when explicit AI-generated images of Taylor Swift began to circulate on X, formerly known as Twitter. Taylor Swift's fans, or Swifties, rallied to flood the platform with posts and drown out the so-called deepfakes. The incident has led to renewed calls by politicians in the US for legislation to clamp down on these AI-generated fakes. Here's what a White House press secretary had to say.
We are alarmed by the reports of the circulation of images that you just laid out, false images to be more exact, and it is alarming. So while social media companies make their own independent decisions about content management, we believe they have an important role to play in enforcing their own rules to prevent the spread of misinformation and non-consensual intimate imagery of real people.
Well, here's our America correspondent, David Willis.
Under existing US law, tech platforms such as X, formerly known as Twitter, enjoy protection against liability for content posted on their sites, which means that lawmakers here can do very little to prevent the spread of this sort of misinformation. There was a bill put forward a short while ago which would have imposed criminal penalties against anyone found guilty of creating or distributing this sort of information, but it's currently bogged down in Congress. And the hope is that the involvement in all this now of Taylor Swift could in some way reinvigorate those legislative moves and those attempts to get some sort of laws on the books. The White House said today that it was alarmed by the sexually explicit Taylor Swift pictures, but the spokeswoman, Karine Jean-Pierre, appeared to concede that in the absence of congressional action, there was really very little in this regard that the Biden administration could do to help the situation. Now, for its part, the X platform has said that it is actively removing these sexually explicit pictures and that it was taking appropriate action against those who have been found to have created or distributed those images. But one image alone is thought to have received more than 47 million views before it was taken down. Now, a few years ago, of course, creating these sort of images required a degree of technical skills. Now, there's been a lot of these new tools available online, which has made the whole thing a lot easier. And there are concerns amongst regulators here of a sort of tsunami of this type of material involving celebrities and non-celebrities, politicians and other members of society. Well, in the absence of congressional action, Taylor Swift's fans, otherwise known as Swifties, are taking measures of their own. They've taken to the X platform under the hashtag #ProtectTaylorSwift in a bid to distract attention from the sexually explicit images.
That was David Willis reporting there. Let's go live now to Io Dodds, who's a senior reporter at the Independent newspaper. Hello to you. Oh gosh, it's fascinating this, isn't it? Yeah, indeed. I mean, isn't it incredible that something that's been going along, affecting lots and lots of people, but as soon as Taylor Swift gets involved, here we are, the White House has been commenting, and this has been taken super seriously.
There have been many victims of AI-generated non-consensual pornography in the past, and I think it's very significant if you get the president to weigh in on yours. But that being said, it's you know, she and the White House are drawing attention to an ongoing problem. It's been going on for a while, quite a serious problem, and a problem that's only likely to get worse, unfortunately.
We were just hearing from David there saying that, you know, a few years ago, you would have required a lot of really serious tech to do anything along these lines, but now it's becoming easier and easier to produce something that's vaguely convincing, and that must be part of the problem.
Absolutely. Tech companies and big ones, Microsoft, Google and so forth, are falling over themselves to try and make it easier to generate stuff with AI. It's kind of all in the wake of when ChatGPT came out, the end of 2022. It absolutely blew the socks off of everyone in Silicon Valley, and all the big incumbents, the tech giants of the world that already are on top of the pile went, oh crap, if we don't get on top of this, we're going to get left behind. And so everyone from them to, you know, little fly-by-night companies that are creating tools, they may not be very responsibly minded about how those tools are used, right up to those big giants, sort of all trying to get in on the action. And actually, there's evidence that this specific piece of AI fake one was generated in a Telegram group that's for people whose hobby essentially is generating stuff like this. In that group, they encourage people to use a tool. We don't know what tool this was made with, but in that group, they encourage people to use a tool called Microsoft Design, which is basically an AI image generation tool with a bunch of different things you can do in it. Microsoft Design is bundled into the Microsoft Edge browser, and the Microsoft Edge browser is sort of pushed on users. If you make a new Windows install, it's going to say, "Hey, do you want to make Edge your default browser? Do you want to?" And that's symptomatic of how companies across the board are kind of pushing AI towards their users in any possible way they can. Unfortunately, this kind of gold rush mentality is only going to make this problem worse.
We were hearing there from David that the image that was posted on X was viewed something like 46 million times before it was taken down. How easy is it to get these deep fakes taken down? I mean, with Taylor Swift, I don't know how long that image was up there for, but 47 million views is a lot.
Well, it's not so easy for Twitter to take down things these days because, of course, post Elon Musk takeover, they've really gutted their content moderation infrastructure. A lot of people who previously would have been reviewing this content manually have been fired. And so the company's really degraded its own capacity to respond to these sort of problems. But even putting that aside, it's a common pattern that something that really shouldn't go viral goes viral and isn't caught before it goes viral. And once it goes viral, eventually it can be clamped down on because all of these companies basically subscribe to like shared image databases that take a sort of exact record of the image and then can spot it again. So once it's in those databases, then if that same image is posted again, then another AI tool can police the thing which is created by a different AI tool and can sort of remove it automatically. Once that happens, this stuff can kind of be suppressed, but if it gets big enough too quickly, then it's going to be seen before that happens. And yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that tech companies are very far ahead yet in creating automated tools, because ultimately that's what it's going to take to respond to this with any degree of speed, that can spot these kind of images while they are trending or even before they are trending. The state of AI that can check whether something is AI generated isn't really there yet.
Not everybody has an army of Swifties to help you out as well. I.O. Dodds, it's been absolutely fascinating talking to you. Thank you.